Hello people, welcome back to my channel, and today we are working on a new tutorial that is the introduction to Git. So all the database administrators and the system testing people who have never used any source control, so you will come to know how to use Git. So we will start with very basic of Git and slowly progress through upcoming videos and uh, how we actually use it in a working scenario. So before jumping into that, let's go through this video where we will discuss all the basics that we need to learn before jumping into a real environment. So let's consider begin. A team where you have 5 to 6 developers or 5 to 6 database developers or admins who need to work on a common source code. Suppose they are developing an application or they're developing a certain scripts for your database for database deployments. So in that case, everyone is working on a certain part and they need to collaborate so that all of the individual pieces can be summed up in a single repository and there are no conflict. Imagine they are working on a project where five or six of them have to work for the same code. So each one gets their own module. So one gets the login page to fix, some gets a bug, or someone gets some redirection issues. So everyone has got something on their to-do list, and that's the only thing that they need to fix. So what happens in that scenario is everyone can make their own copy of the main source code, and then they can work on it, and once they are done with their work they can commit that and then they can merge that to the main source code. And before actually merging, they can cross check, verify whether it's ready to be merged with the master or the main source code. So this is where Git is very helpful. Git is an open source service that is available for version control and freely available, so it doesn't take you long to just download it and start using it, because there's a huge documentation available. And in your reference you will get the GitHub cheat sheet. So that's the cheat sheet that I have been using and it helps a lot. So let's check what the cheat sheet looks like. So you have different languages available. I'll download the English one and then we will see which all basic commands that we need to know. Let's open it in a different tab. Let's see how it is. So it has got basically like most of the things that you would need. How would you install it, and how would you configure it, and all the basic commands that you would need to use your Git repository. So what we are going to do is we will do an install, and then we will configure it, and then we will create our repository, and we will do a few play arounds with the commands. So this is the GitHub Flow. Like there's a master branch and then you create a feature out of it, and once you submit the pull request, and then you can merge your feature branch with your master, and once it is confirmed you can remove your feature branch. So this is something that we are going to do as a hands-on. So we'll do a small lab for this entire setup. Okay, so let's go and download the executable for Windows. There is actually a release note that if you want to read, you can go through, but we don't need to deep dive into it. We don't need it, but yes, if you want, you can check out the release notes. So I've already installed I've already installed the Git on my local system, and I'll just show you how to configure your environment variable for it. So I've already downloaded it and installed it, so it will get installed. The default directory would be C program files, and it will create a folder called Git, and inside bin folder you will have your executables. So you can go and set your environment variables. So that is for the user, this is for the system. I would go and do it for the entire system. Actually I've already done it, so it should be available. If you go down at the bottom, should be there. Yeah, the last one. So C program files get bin, that's where my executable resides. So let's see, let's jump into it. Let's do a basic git. Cool. So now git is responding on our default command prompt, because we have already set the environment variables. If you see the version, I have 2.21, and okay, let's create a folder. So I'm in my if you see at the background, my Windows Explorer has I've opened a window in C. I have created a folder called git, so I'll jump into that folder. Okay, I'm there. Let me create a separate folder for our git demo. That's done. So you can see at the background it is created. Let's get into git demo. We are in. Now let's look at the cheat sheet. So these are the commands that we would need. Before you create a repository, you need to initialize your git in that particular folder. So we have to use Git Init before using any of the git commands. But if we try to submit any git commands without initializing it, we will get an error, and let's check it out. I'll use this config command without initializing the folder, without initializing it. So let's see what's the error. Git config user.name Ramakantatichi. Let's go in. Fatal, not in a git directory. So to do that, we need to initialize it. So we'll do git init initialized empty git repository in C blah 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 .git. Now if we go and do our config user.name, so these are actually the authors. So whatever work you would do in this particular folder will have the author name as Ramakantadichi, and email ID. If I have to, I can do that as well, like user.email. That would take my email, which is like more of a config setting, which is there are different ways of doing it. You can set it for the global, or you can set it for a particular folder. Let's do that. Okay, that is done. Cool. So this is the folder. If you see, there's a .git folder being created once you initialize. Let's go and see what are the things inside it. This is quite a small one. So there are few objects that are created. There's a config, the description, head, all these objects. You don't need to learn anything about that, but yeah, this is how it will look like once you configure things in your personal laptop or your personal machine. So let me open Visual Studio Code, and let me open the folder where we have just initialized Git. We could have done all those things from Visual Studio Code as well, but I just tried to use command prompt. Let's go to my folder. git demo. Okay, let's open that folder. Currently we do not have anything in that. So when you work in a project, there would be lots of codes in the code files which you will need to edit, and then you need to how you would be doing things. That's what we are going to figure out in this. Suppose you want to, so we'll create a sample file called sample.txt. suppose that's the file, that's the code file that we need to edit and push it into the push it so that everyone can see it, and how we merge it, how we create branches out of it. New terminal is open. So if you see right now, I'm on the master node, so that is by default. And if you see the file, there is a sample.txt file which I just now created. There is nothing in that file, I just wrote one line. This is a text file, and this file will be using it. So if you see, if I do a git status, that will give me the status about what all files are not yet staged. So it said sample.txt is not added into the staging area. So once I did that, I added the file with git add period. So it will add all your files to your staging area. After that, I was checking the git status, and it tells me that I need to commit it. So let's do our first commit. Git commit m is for message, and the message our first commit. Now if you check git status, it says nothing to commit, working tree clean. Let's check out all the branches that we have. My bad. H is missing. Cool. So I've got the master branch right now. And if you see, there is an asterisk which means that I'm on that branch. Let's create a branch called feature 01. Switched. So right now we are on feature 01 branch. Let's change the file. Let's edit something. Okay, let's add one more line, adding a feature. Okay, so this version of my file is not available in my master. This is a new feature branch that I created, and I'm adding I'm updating the code or updating anything in that file, and then I'll commit that, and later I can merge it with the master branch. So I did a status. It says I need to put sample.txt in staging area. So I added that. Let's see the status. It says changes to be committed. We can also commit using Visual Studio Code GUI. So if you see on the left hand side, I just added the comment and committed it. Went through. Let's see the status now. Cool, nothing to commit, working tree clean. If you see the log, git log will give you the log. So if you see who made the changes, author is Ramakant Dadichi. This is what we have added when we created this repository. And if you see my two commits, first was our first commit, and the second was added a feature, and the head was feature 01. Let's go back to our master. Let's create some branches. Develop git branch will create a new branch. made a mistake. Git. There are two ways you can create. You can either do a checkout with a -b that will create and also switch it, or you can just create git branch and branch name. So if you see git checkout -b develop, it not only created that branch, it also switched. You can, if you use git branch with a branch name, it will create a branch as well, but since my master already exists, it will obviously not create it. I will check out to master. Let me create a test branch. Let's see all the branches. Let me show you one cool thing in Visual Studio Code. So go to the extensions and install git graph. I think I already have it. Yes, so if you install it, it will give you a visualization of your branches. It's very helpful when you have a lot of branches and lots of commits and merging being done. Right now, it won't show us a lot, but yes, I can show you how to use it. So if you go here and view graph, it will load and see we have got master, we have got develop, we have got test, and there's a feature where we have added a feature. So these are our branches. Let's go back to our terminal. So we are right now on the master node. To merge that feature branch that we created into the master, you have to be on the master branch. So if you see, the sample.txt does not have that extra bit of line that we added in the feature. So now we'll merge. Okay, let me just show you how the sample.txt looks in the feature branch. Check out. So you can see the third line adding a feature in my feature 01. Now I checked out the master. So to merge it, you need to be on the master node. If you see the cheat sheet, if you see this flow, so there's a master branch, we added a feature, and at the end you need to merge that feature into the master. This is what we are going to do right now. Git merge, we're already master, so we need to give the branch name which you want to merge. So that in our case it is feature 01. Done. So updating fast forward sample.txt, one file changed. Cool. So now we are in the master, and you can see that extra bit of code, or the line that we added, text, is now available in sample.txt. Master, that feature is now available in our master node. Let's look at the graph, how it looks like. So let's see the log. So this head is master and feature, both are having the same version of the code right now. So once your once you are satisfied and you want to remove the feature branch, because you don't want at the end of the day having a multiple features and branches, so you can just remove that branch that you have already merged. So so we will remove it. Git branch -d and the branch name feature 01. This should delete that branch. Deleted branch feature 01 was something, those numbers. Okay. Now let's see all the branches. So we have develop, master and test, and if you see the graph, feature does not exist. Master is the head, and you can see that commit note that we added a feature. So yes, this is all about the basics, and I hope you liked it. In the next version, I mean in the next part of Git, we will do an actual sample source code, and we will push it, and we will use it, and we will use a remote repository in Azure DevOps. So what we are going to do is we'll create an Azure repo, the Azure DevOps repo, and we will push our code from our local system into the Azure repo, and we will utilize it from there to create our CI/CD pipelines. So that's it. Thanks a lot, and stay tuned for our upcoming videos. Hope you are enjoying our content. Thank you.